I don't see any viewer. Hello, hello. I don't see any viewer. Let me wait. Some people come to watch my live stream. Sorry. I don't see any viewer. I don't know exactly whether my live stream is working or not. Hello viewers, if you see something, if you hear my voice, please say something in the comment section. In the comment, please say something. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you, according to where you are living. So today is a very special day for Buddhism. You know, not only in Myanmar, but also other countries like Laos, Cambodia, Sri Lanka, or something like that. So today is a very special day in Buddhism. So today I would like to share some knowledge on how the Abhidhamma days appears, how Abhidhamma day appears in Buddhist tradition. Because you know, in Buddhism there are three Pitaka, like Vinaya Pitaka, Suttanta Pitaka, and Abhidhamma Pitaka. So today is something special in relation to Abhidhamma. That is why, according to Myanmar Buddhist tradition, today is called Abhidhamma Day. And also we say like, you know, Tidanjwa Pumunde. This is why today is very special for all Buddhists all over the world. So today I would like to share some knowledge on why the Abhidhamma days appear in Buddhism. Of course, you know, the Buddha became self-enlightened one. So after 7 years after becoming the Buddha, he started preaching the Abhidhamma. You know, when we study the Matigga, there is something interesting given by Asriya Buddhaghosa, like, you know, Mataram Pamunkhankatwa Tatlamaya Tisata Abhidhamma Katha Megan Dewana Klampavatis. So according to this verse, according to this stanza, you know, this is a very clear path there. The Buddha preached Abhidhamma Desana in heaven and Tower Tensa. This is why, but you know, among the scholars, the Abhidhamma is something controversial because some scholars don't accept that, you know, the Abhidhamma is the what Buddha say, because you know they say that Abhidhamma is later development something like that. Especially in Sri Lanka, they have something like, early Buddhist teaching and later Buddhist teaching, something like that. So, Abhidhamma is a little bit controversial among the scholars. This is why today I get idea that, it is much better to say something about how the Abhidhamma emerged in this day, in the Danjua, on the Danjua Pumun Day, or Abhidhamma Day. So, 7 years after becoming the Buddha, becoming self-enlightened one. Here I use self-enlightened one because, I refer to Sammasambuddhassa. Sammasambuddhassa means something that, the Buddha become enlightened one without any teacher. This is why the Buddha say, Name Asriyo Ati. Name Asriyo Ati means, I have no teacher, so I know everything by myself. The Buddha know the Four Noble Truth, the Noble Eightfold by himself, without any teacher. This is why here I use self-enlightened one, referring to the Sammasambuddhassa. So, 7 years after becoming the Buddha come to Savatthi, and then, the Buddha shows his supernormal power, and the garden. It is, the mango gardens belonging to the king Bimbisara. At the time, there are some other, during the time of the Buddha, there were some other, philosopher, religious leader, like Puranakaspa, Mekli Gosala, Asita Kesa Kambali, and Pakura Kesayana, Niganda Nada Buddha, something like that. So, sometimes they challenge the Buddha, to show their supernormal power. So the Buddha also accept their, challenges. At the time, in the garden, called the, it is a garden like, mango gardens, where the Buddha show his supernormal power. In Pali language, we call Yamaka Padihariya. Yamaka Padihariya means two opposite things. The Buddha shows his two opposite thing power, like, water and fires. Just like, left side eyes, the Buddha produce the water, and the right side eyes, the Buddha produce the, fire. But when we see that kind of things, it look like simultaneously. It is happening, like simultaneously at the same time. But exactly, it is not something happening at the same time. It is happening differently. Because, according to Abhidhamma, two minds cannot happen at the same time. Because it is said that dwe pawatans ekekane dwe sita pawati nama na hoti ekekane dwe pawati sita nama na hoti. It means that according to Abhidhamma, two minds cannot happen at the same time. Two minds cannot happen simultaneously. This is why what is more important to note here is that when the Buddha shows his physical power, the Yamaka Padihariya, even though we see the fire and water, but it is not happening simultaneously. For example, to create a fire, the Buddha need to practice, the Dizukasina. To create fire, the Buddha need to practice Dizukasina, and also to shows the water, the Buddha need to practice Abhokasina. But the Buddha is very skillful in the kasina. This is what we see. It is happening, like simultaneously at the same time. So the Buddha shows this, Yamaka Padihariya in this garden. So after, showing this Yamaka Padihariya, or, suddenly, immediately, the Buddha disappear. At the time, people get shocked. Lay people get shocked because, they don't see the Buddha. They are just asking, they want to know where the Buddha is going or something like that. at the time, they want to know where the Buddha is going. Because, after showing this supernormal power, Yamaka Pariharika, in this garden, mango garden, the Buddha disappeared immediately. At the time, people get shocked, they are really confused about where the Buddha is going. So they ask, Venerable Anuruddha, where the Buddha is going. The Venerable Anuruddha said that now the Buddha is going to, heaven world, Deva Loka, Tawatinta. So according to Myanmar Buddhist culture, we say something that, the reason why the Buddha goes to Tawatinta is because he want to show the gratitude. He want to show us the gratitude on his mother, Medumaya, because 7 days after giving birth to Siddhartha, so Medumaya passed away after 7 days giving birth to his son Siddhartha. This is why the Buddha, when the Buddha became enlightened one, so there was no his mother. So, as showing his gratitude on his mother, the Buddha wants to Tawatinsa to preach Abhidhamma Desana. So, but, another thing that we need to note here is when the Medumaya, the Buddha's mother, passed away, she took rebirth in Tusita, not in Tawatinsa. But when the Buddha goes to Tawatinsa to preach the Dhamma, so it is something controversial. It is, questionable. We need to ask the question why the Buddha didn't go to, Tusita, because, his mother is in Tusita, not in Tawatinsa. For example, sometimes, you want to visit your parents. You are living away from your parents. Sometimes you miss your parents, but you want to visit your parents. For example, your parents is in Sri Lanka, but you are going to United States, It is something questionable. You must go directly to Sri Lanka because your mother is in Sri Lanka, but, the Buddha didn't go to Sita. The Buddha goes to Tawatinsa. So, of course, it is something controversial, debatable, and questionable. We need to do some new contribution on this issue. But there are some other scholars who have already given. So, according to my understanding, the reason why the Buddha goes to Tawatinsa, it is because, Tawatinsa is something different from other heavens. As you know, there are 6 causal states: Stuma Rasika Tawatinsa, Yama Tusita Nimanarati, and Pranimita Vasavati, or something like that. There are 6 heaven states. So I think, according to my understanding, Tawatinsa is something different from other states, because Tawatinsa is a place where the king of Deva is living. We call Sekaraja. In Pali we call Sekaraja. So Tawatinsa is a place where the kings of Devas living. And also, there is something called Sudhamma rest house. Sudhamma rest house. According to Myanmar culture, we call Sudhamma Sara. So I think it is much better to call Sudhamma Dhamma hall. I want to compare Tawatinsa like a United States, In United States, there are some, international organizations like BOA, BBC, or, United Nations organization, United Nations organization. And Myanmar, we call Kula the Mega or something like that. In Tawatinsa, there is also something called, Sudhamma rest house. This is why and there are very famous poor garden, and many Devas, gods come to visit this Tawatinsa. This is the reason why the Buddha select the Tawatinsa to preach his Abhidhamma. But another thing that we need to understand here is, the Buddha not only preached Abhidhamma in Tawatinsa, a few days after becoming self-enlightened, the Buddha was washing his Bodhi tree, standing. We call something like, Radhanapataha, something like that, At the time, the Buddha analyzes Abhidhamma, The Buddha contemplates Abhidhamma in his mind. The Buddha didn't preach any disciple, any monk, or any, nuns, but in his mind, the Buddha is, analyzing all Abhidhamma. There are seven subjects in Abhidhamma, like Dhammasangani, Vibhanga, Pokala, Pnya, Katawatu, Yamaka, Patana, or something like that. So the Buddha was contemplating all Abhidhamma in his mind. So in this condition, there is something different, something remarkable. Because, when the Buddha contemplates the six Abhidhamma, six subject, like, without the Patana, at the time, nothing happens to the Buddha. At the time, nothing happens to the Buddha, like Dhammasangani, Pokala, Pnya, Katawatu, or something like that. When the Buddha analyzes these six past subject, nothing happened to the Buddha. But when the Buddha analyzes Patana, it is something different, When the Buddha analyzes Patana, the Buddha become more peaceful, more, happy. At the time, when the Buddha when the body of the Buddha, the rays was coming out. The rays was coming out from the body of the Buddha. So this is why, there are two occasions the Buddha preached the Dhamma. Not only in the, Tawatinsa, but also, a few days after becoming self-enlightened, the Buddha, analyzes this Abhidhamma in his mind. So after, when the Buddha analyzes the Abhidhamma, especially the Patana, the rays was coming out from the body of the Buddha. This is what, according to, there is something that we need to understand here in this connection. According to Myanmar Buddhist culture, we believe that, Patana is something powerful. Patana is something powerful. For example, if you have some problem, some obstacle, some, difficulty, at the time, most of the monks, most of the Ida people advise you to chant Abhidhamma, Patana. For example, if you are a businessman, you cannot run business very well. At the time, you just chant Patana. If you have some problem about your, family life, about your problem, about your business or education or something like that, at the time, if you chant the Patana, you will be lucky person. You can overcome your problem, your difficulty, your challenges. This is, something that we believe in Myanmar, according to Myanmar Buddhist culture. Because, as I said earlier, when the Buddha analyzes Patana, the rays was coming out from the body of the Buddha. This is why we think that the Patana is something powerful, powerful in the teaching of the Buddha. So there are occasions on which the Buddha preached Abhidhamma. This is why today is called Abhidhamma Day. So this is, something that I understand about how the Abhidhamma emerge, E-M-E-R-G emerge and appear. So in Buddhist tradition. So at the time, the Buddha went to Tawatinsa, and he said there is a tree called, in Tawatinsa there is a tree called Coral, C-O-R-A-L, coral tree, C-O-R-A-L, coral tree, under which there is a stone, there is a seed called Pandukambala. So this seed belongs to Thakkarasa, the king of Devas. So this stone, this seat was made by, made with a stone. Even though it is a, stone seat, but it is very soft and when you sit there, it is very comfortable, just like, sofa, if you sit there. So the Buddha preached, start preaching Abhidhamma in Tawatinsa. So at the time, his former mother, we call, in Pali language, we call Tansotisa. She taught rebel in Tawatinsa, and then she was born as Tansotisa Deva Buddha or something like that. So when the Buddha said there, right side, there are two persons, and the Buddha's mothers and another Deva, who is called, Indica. Left side, there is another Deva, who is called Angura. So there is something that we need to understand, that we need to note. The Devaloka also, the heaven one also have hierarchy system. Hierarchy system is like, junior to senior or something like that. For, according to the Buddhist culture, if I become more earlier than you, you are supposed to give respect to me. So something like that. For example, if we go to meeting or, the something, we say to, as junior to senior, something like that. The princes are only for president, and second seal is for minister or something like that. So in heaven world, they also have, the system of hierarchy. For example, even though the Angura and the Indica Deva Buddhas are sitting closely, very closely in front of the Buddha, but when the other Devas, when other ghosts come to there, they also have, some Devas are poor, some Devas are less powerful, some Devas are more power, something like that. This is why, when the others Deva come to there, so, the Indica Indica or ghost is more powerful. This is why he doesn't need to give place to other people. Angura ghost is not like that, because he is less powerful. This is why, even though he is sitting very closely to the Buddha, but when others Devas come to there, he gave, his place to other ghosts, because he is less powerful. He is less powerful than other Devas. So, in the Pali, in the Buddhist literature, it is said that Angura Deva Buddha is getting 12 yusana away from the Buddha. Angura Deva Buddha is getting 12 yusana away from the Buddha. When I check it out in dictionary, the one yusana is equal to 20.72 miles. One yusana is equal to 20.72 miles. If you are very skillful mathematics, you can check it. So because, there is a history, because the Angura ghost, even though he was giving, he make, donation for 20 years. But when he make donation, there is no dispensation of the Buddha. He donates some people who are not who are immoral person, who don't have any, morality. When the Angura Deva gave donation, he gave donation to the some people who don't have morality. This is why his consequence, his vipaga, his benefit is not powerful, even though he gave donation for 20 years. But, the Indica Deva is not like that. Indica Deva only donates only one spoon of anpu to the, Anuruddha. Even though he donates, one spoon to the Anuruddha, but he is more powerful, because Anuruddha is, really pure, morally really pure. He has very strong morality. he is arranged. He is arranged. This is why he has already gathered all defilement. He has already free from all suffering. This is why, he doesn't need to give the place to other Deva. But Angura Deva is getting away from the Buddha a little bit by a little bit, something like that. So, in Tower Tinsa, the Buddha started preaching Abhidhamma, by saying Kusala Dhamma, Akusala Dhamma, Abhyagara Dhamma, something like that. So, after preaching, another thing is that, the Deva, heaven was and human was is different. According to Abhidhamma, according to Abhidhammara Sangha, 100 years is equal to 1 day in heaven. In Tawatinsa, according to our calendar, 100 years is equal to 1 day in Tawatinsa. We say that the Buddha preached Abhidhamma in 3 months, right? But even though we say that it is 3 months, but compared to, their calendar, Deva calendar, it is a very short time, So, he preached the Dhamma, but he didn't preach the Dhamma, he cannot preach the Dhamma because the Buddha is a very human being, like ourselves. He is hungry if he doesn't eat or something like that. The Buddha is no God. The Buddha is no creator, like a Christian or some other Islam. The Buddha is a very human being. That's why if the Buddha doesn't eat anything, he is angry. If you did something very hard, he got tired. Because the Buddha is a very super human being. So, when he was preaching Abhidhamma, he hungry. The Buddha hungry, so he come down the human world, Manusa Loka. So he wants to, Northern Island. In Myanmar we call Nyaochuan, Northern Island. He go to Northern Island for his, meal, like Ampu. And the Buddha come back. After finish his, after finish his lunch or breakfast, something like that, the Buddha come back and he take back, in the Anawata Lake. We call Anawata Lake. The Buddha take back in Anawata Lake. At the time, the venerable Sariputara approached the Buddha and also he gave service to the Buddha, which means that the venerable Sariputara looked after the Buddhas. At the time, the Buddha preached the Abhidhamma to the venerable Sariputara. Now I'm preaching in the Tawatinsa Abhidhamma. Now I have already finished from which to which or something like that. So the Buddha preached, teach Abhidhamma to the venerable Sariputara very briefly, and no in more detail. So every single day like that, the Buddha preached the Dhamma in Tawatinsa, and also he create Nimitta Kaya. Nimitta Kaya means, exactly like the Buddha, he can also preach the Dhamma. So when I say Nimitta Kaya, something come to my mind. According to the Mahayana culture, they also have some three things like, Dhamma Kaya, Nimitta Kaya, Rupa Kaya, or something like that. Because according to Mahayana culture, even today, the Buddha is remaining. The Buddha is remaining even today. Because, they say something like that. The Buddha used Dhammakaya for doing some activities like, taking bath, eating, or going to toilet or something like that. At the time, the Buddha used, the Nimitta or something like that. Or when the Buddha preached the Dhamma, the Buddha used Dhammakaya or something like that. So according to the Mahayana culture, even today, the Buddha is remaining. Which means that the Buddha, never attained Parinibbana. The Buddha never attained Parinibbana. So another thing that we need to note here is, the Buddha says something, Yo Dhamma Pasati, So Man Pasati. if you see the Dhamma, you can see me, something like that. So now, it is sure that there are some arrangements in this world. So when they become arrangements, they see the Dhamma. So if they see the Dhamma, they also see the Buddha. So according to, the Mahayana culture, the Mahayana Buddhist culture, of course, according to this, verse, Yo Dhamma Pasati, So Man Pasati, if you see the Dhamma, the rules, the Dhamma, you also can see me. So according to this statement, we have to accept that the Buddha also remaining even today. So this is something, at the time, when the Buddha was preaching the Abhidhamma in Tawatinsa, he created, Nimitta Kaya to preach the Dhamma, instead of handset. And the Buddha comes down, and the Buddha goes the island, northern island, and after finish his lunch, come back to, Anawata Lake, and then he take back there, and then again he preached the Abhidhamma to the Venerable Sariputta. So this is a daily activity, that the Buddha is doing, the Buddha was doing when he was preaching the Abhidhamma. So after, preaching the Abhidhamma for 3 months, according to our calendar, the Buddha preached Abhidhamma within 3 months. So, according to Myanmar culture, and the Danjua Pumunde, the Buddha finished the Abhidhamma. At the time, the Buddha said, the kings, the Thaka Rasa, no, I'm going to go back the human world. At the time, people have desire to want to see the Buddha. People have desire to want to see the Buddha. They are waiting for, they are asking, where is the Buddha going? For 3 months, we don't see anywhere else the Buddha. At the time, the people approached to Venerable Moggallana. They asked where the Buddha is going and when the Buddha will come to here. So at the time, Venerable Moggallana went to the Tawatinsa and he approached to the Buddha and he reported this issue that people are waiting for you, people want to give donation, people want to, calibrate precept, sila from you, people want to listen the Dhamma from you. This is why people are waiting for you. So this Venerable Moggallana, report to the Buddha this issue. At the time, the Buddha also finished preaching his Abhidhamma, and then he started, coming back. He started coming back the human world, Manusa Loka. At the time, the Seka, the King Deva Buddha, create 3 stairs. One stair is a silver stair, and another one is golden stairs. Another one is, the last one is ruby stair. So left side stair is silver stair, and right side stair is golden stair. Middle stair is, ruby stair. Ruby stair is only for the Buddha. So golden stairs is for Devas, right? So silver stair is for Brahmas. When the Buddha was coming, from Deva, we use in Pali Devo Rohana. We use in Pali language Devo Rohana. Deva Orohana. Deva means Devas. Deva means gods. Gods. We use in Buddhism we use gods without with small letter, no capital letter. We use capital letter like God. God. It's something referred to creator. Mostly the Christian people and Islam people use God with capital letter, but we use small letter when we refer to Devas. So at the time, the Buddha was coming from Deva. We use Devo Rohana. At the time, so left side around the silver stair, there are Brahma who are holding the pen. They are holding pen, and also right side golden stair, the Devas. They are surrounding, to the Buddha, holding the white umbrella. The Devas are holding white umbrella nearby the Buddha. So you can imagine how beautiful it may be. How beautiful it may be when the Buddhas come down to the Manusa Loka. So this is why we call today, Abhidhamma Day. At the time, the Buddha wants to, Lankata city, and the Buddha start preaching the Dhamma, and he make connections with the Venerable Sariputta, and he make discussion with the Venerable Sariputta. So according to Myanmar culture, according to Myanmar Buddhist culture, when it is come to Waja Pumundi, we do a lot of activities, things, religious, ceremony. We go to monastery, temple, some religious play, secret play, S-A-C-R-E-D, secret, S-A-C-R-E-D, secret. We go to secret play, religious play, like a stupa, pagoda, something like that. And then we take meditations, we donate flowers, oil, lamp, or candle, something like that. Another thing is that we homage our elder people, like children, they homage their parents, and we give present to the elder people, or something like that. Especially today is Abhidhamma Day, so most people go to monastery and they start chanting Abhidhamma, especially the Patana. So this is very something special for Buddhist culture. This is why, on this day, we can make very good things. We can take precept, Yesa Sila, no killing, no stealing, sexual misconduct, no using, intoxication, no telling lies, something like that. 5 precepts, 8 precepts, Atanga Sila, 9 precepts, Navanga Sila, something like that. So today is a very special day. Yeah, this is something that I want to share about the, how the Abhidhamma days emerge, how Abhidhamma day appear, in Buddhism. Okay, now it is almost nearly over 11, so let me stop my sharing knowledge here in this live stream. Even though, I have been using my principle, but I never make any live stream, so I think today is something special for Buddhists. That's why I got idea that it is much better for me to share some knowledge, some idea on this special day. This is why I got a chance to share. If you are listening to me, thank you so much for listening to me patiently. So, okay, let me stop here. May all be happy with your friends, with your beloved one, and have a nice day.